A new study suggesting most Americans have a distorted perception of gun violence in America. It has fallen significantly, we're told. In the past 20 years, Justice Department reporting this week, the number of murders committed with guns dropped nearly 39% between 1993 and 2011. The number of non-deadly gun crimes down an astounding 70% in that time. Doug McElway has been looking at the numbers. He's live in Washington. What's this mean, Doug? Put this together here.
Well, you know, one question a lot of people are asking, does it mean that more guns mean less crime? It does not necessarily mean that, Bill. There is a very strong correlation that suggests that, however. But the study can't prove causation. That said, the study is really welcome news to Second Amendment supporters, and it blows some huge holes in popular perceptions about guns and violence. And it may cause many to rethink efforts to restrict gun show sales. For example, it found that among state prison inmates who possessed a gun at the time of their offense, only 2% of them bought their gun at a flea market or gun show. Senator Joe Manchin, a Second Amendment supporter who sponsored legislation for background checks at gun shows, reacted this way to the study.
I'm happy that they do continue down, because I will tell you this, a law-abiding gun owner like myself, I'm not going to sell to a stranger. I'm not going to give it to a family member that's not stable and not responsible.
Manchin still supports background checks at gun shows, maintaining that 2% of criminals who bought weapons at shows should indeed undergo background checks.
Doug, what are you hearing? You talked to it. What are you hearing from staunch gun control advocates about this matter?
Well, the Brady campaign rejected our request for an interview yesterday on this. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi yesterday suggested that the earlier assault weapons ban that Congress passed in the 1990s, the one that expired 10 years later, may have contributed to the crime drop. Here she is.
The deaths have gone down in large measure because of the legislation that was passed, and then but that when some states picked up on. But the problem is even though we have great laws in California, they do now in Maryland, New York, Connecticut, you can name many states, as long as those guns can cross state lines without having a background check attached to them, that we still need that legislation.
There are between 310 million and 400 million guns in private possession across the United States. That's more than at any time in our history, and gun violence is down, although it remains higher here than in any other Western nation.
Interesting numbers. Thank you, Doug. Doug McElway on that story in Washington. Martha.